Hey everybody, what's going on? Welcome back to my channel. Hoping you're doing well. In the next several videos I'm going to put out here over the near term, I'm going to probably ruffle a few feathers and with due respect. I think it's probably quite necessary due to the topic matters discussed. Again, if you're confused by it or you don't really comprehend it, I'm going to spend hours to explain it. It kind of is what it is, The first thing I like to discuss in this, bit of a series of rants or whatever, is how people that are naive when it comes to the internet want to judge something, before they even know half of what they think they do. I've been using the internet pretty much day in, day out for a period of like 25 years, ever since it became, fairly accessible to the general public. Now, whether it's HTML documents, WordPress blogs, PHP online communities, YouTube, Twitter, any of these kind of, applications or processes or whatnot, technical skills, etc. I think people that downplay this while at the same time judging people that learn these things, I think they're burning up the candles at both ends, for one thing. And for two, it comes down just to not knowing, so they just assume. Now, I had a recent discussion about this, and I'm going to go into quite a bit of detail in this video just to prove my point. Now, one of my better friends that I've known for, like I said, about 25 years, from the Tampa, Florida area, I met online back in the day when chat rooms were fairly frequent, when people could actually communicate, when they didn't have the paywalls and political bias and all that nonsense, long before Twitter and Twitch and YouTube was even a thing. But the reason I bring this up is people that are naive about these things, yet know somebody that's dealt with the whole thing inside and out for 20 years. I think has some serious, not only trust issues, but also lack of knowledge, from lack of experience. Again, in a recent conversation, it was, brought to my attention and kind of affirmed what I already knew. The computers back in the day were weak. Back in the 70s and 80s, when they only had like, 640K of memory. Yet, now in 2023, 2 videos will run about 1,000 times that, roughly 830 megabytes or whatever. That being said, people that criticize webmasters, people that criticize WordPress and PHP and YouTube and social media and ways to actually get involved with society, I think this doesn't really do anything for society as a whole. Now, of course, if you followed my channel at any time since 2006, you'll know that I'm, not only fairly knowledgeable, but I also take pride in knowing what I know and go out of my way to show people, here's what I know and here's how I know about it. Now, it's not out of arrogance, it's not out of, see, I told you so, or none of that kind of, thing that a lot of the people in politics and all that shit, worry about. However, one of the big factors that I, want to discuss with this is like people that assume the internet is fake, that everybody online is fake. I mean, sure, there are people that misuse Craigslist and misuse online marketplaces and, sell fentanyl and distribute illegal things like that, or ghost guns, or all the crap that the media covers. But I think both the political spectrum and the, traditional media and I've talked to this with a couple of people, 3 or 4 people, they kind of keep people dumbed down to a point, especially your older 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. They've never experienced, never taken 5 seconds to look up a YouTube video or to, even have heard of PHP, WordPress, or YouTube, or Twitter, or Twitch, or, FTP, or GoDaddy, or any of these, things that I've known about for 20 years, or whatever. And the reason I bring this up is because I think people that are naive, and at the same time want to judge somebody that knows, from experience, probably 15, 20 times more about the particular topics. Like, somebody was telling me that you shouldn't even let people 3, 4, 5, 6 even use computers, watch videos, use technology. That'd be like saying, back in the 60s and 70s and 80s that people shouldn't get up and watch Saturday morning cartoons or watch, cable TV or something like that. Technology and online media and that kind of thing are just that. They're, platforms. Now, whether people misuse them, which 95.5% I'd say, don't misuse, actually use it, to benefit themselves and those they connect with and their audience and, everybody involved. These are the people that, kind of, I think, have some serious issues both mentally, psychologically, personally, to whatever level, politically, to whatever level. Now, sure, there's going to be people that, mishandle information and hack into stuff and cause these problems. But like I said, this is maybe 0.5% of the internet. Over the last, 18 years, look at how YouTube's come from a concept nobody even thought about or knew about, had word one, and now, content-wise is like the biggest site on the internet, content-wise, user-base-wise, etc. Yet there are so many people, yet today that can't comprehend the concept, let alone the platform and that. And that's, again, when you refer to other ways of communication, like WordPress blogs, PHP online communities, personal HTML websites, hosting platforms like GoDaddy that allow you to, buy space on a server, up FTP files, upload and produce and create content. These are the kinds of things that I think people on that level, back in the 70s and 80s where, they didn't have hard drives, they barely had floppy disks, and if not, it was half done still using punch cards that were probably antiquated even by that time, And to me, people like that, while they have a lot of, experience, whether it's raising kids, dealing with, relatives and cousins and, whatever level, that doesn't make them an expert in everything, especially forms of media or forms of society they haven't had the experience with. Now, well, it's true, anybody can go to buy something from Amazon or Target or Best Buy or, look something up at random and go down whatever YouTube rabbit hole for like half an hour at a time, at the same, purpose. There has to be a reason for people to create content, distribute information, discuss topics. I'd say about 85-90% of the time, the people are taking the time to learn the skills needed and use the skills that are needed to create whatever, whether it's a fictional basis, non-fictional basis, legal basis, personal basis, whatever kind of baseline you want to go with. Instead of judging the medium, realize that, like with the internet, I'd say probably about 75 to 80% of the, relatively small sources, your websites, online communities, social media, are reputable and are actually worthwhile. Now, sure, there's going to be people that are hacking and, you know, creating bot accounts and doing things they shouldn't be doing. But like I said a minute ago, you know, that's relatively small in comparison, you know, to the size and scope of the internet. Now, this can be anything: newspapers, TV media, internet, social media, you know, whatever. And it's, you know, a lot of this naivety and lack of information, I think, is based on, you know, a lot of the hype in traditional media, which they typically use to kind of keep their, you know, handhold on society, you know, for what it's worth. Um, I mean, I remember when NBC originally had their site, and at 5 a.m. the next day, you could watch the previous night's content free of charge. Now they put it behind a paywall where they want you to pay, either go through a cable subscriber or pay them $15 a month or do all this other nonsense to get the same thing they've, you know, put out for free to the entire country. I mean, you know, that in of itself, you know, speaks for itself. Anyway, feel free to check out a lot of other videos coming over the next few weeks and months. There's plenty of content out here on my channel to binge. If you like, feel free to comment, subscribe, you know, discuss in the community tab, or follow me on Twitter. You can also check me out on post.news, and we'll see you next time.